The Seoul penthouse shimmered, a glass and steel testament to Lee Min-ho's colossal success. But the breathtaking view was lost on him. He sat hunched, the leather of his Italian chair creaking softly under his weight, his gaze fixed on the sleeping figure of his son, Ji-hoon, in the sterile white room. Ji-hoon, all of 5 years old, was a vibrant spirit trapped in a fragile body, ravaged by a rare autoimmune disorder that baffled the world's leading specialists. Min-ho had poured millions into research, flown Ji-hoon to clinics in Switzerland, Japan, and the United States. Each trip ended the same way, with a gentle shake of the head, a sympathetic sigh, and the crushing weight of hopelessness. The doctors spoke of experimental treatments, of managing symptoms, but never of a cure. His marriage, already strained by the demands of his career, had crumbled under the relentless pressure. His wife, unable to cope with the constant fear and heartbreak, had left, leaving Min-ho alone to navigate the labyrinth of Ji-hoon's illness. He ran a hand through his perpetually disheveled hair. He hadn't slept properly in weeks. The constant vigilance, the endless cycle of hope and despair, had taken its toll. He was a shell of the charismatic actor the world adored. Then came Mrs. Park. She was unassuming, almost invisible. An ajumma with kind eyes and a quiet demeanor, hired through an agency to manage the sprawling penthouse, to cook, to clean, to keep the household running. She was efficient, discreet, and, at first, Min-ho barely registered her presence. He was too consumed by Ji-hoon. But Mrs. Park noticed everything. She saw the exhaustion in Min-ho's eyes, the forced cheerfulness he plastered on when he spoke to Ji-hoon, the way his shoulders slumped when he thought no one was watching. She also saw Ji-hoon, his bright intelligence flickering behind the dullness of his illness, his small hand reaching out for connection. One afternoon, as Min-ho sat by Ji-hoon's bedside, Mrs. Park entered the room with a steaming cup of tea. "It's good for the nerves," she said softly, placing it on the table. "And for the spirit." Min-ho barely acknowledged her. He was lost in a medical journal, desperately searching for any glimmer of hope. Mrs. Park hesitated, then spoke again. "I know a little about these things, sir." Min-ho finally looked up, his eyes narrowed. "About what? Cutting-edge medical research? Gene therapy?" His voice dripped with sarcasm. "Because if you do, you're more qualified than the team of doctors I'm paying a fortune to." Mrs. Park didn't flinch. "No, sir. Not those things. But I know about healing. About the power of nature, of tradition." Min-ho scoffed. "Tradition? You think some old wives' tale is going to cure my son? Perhaps not cure, sir. But perhaps help. Perhaps strengthen. Perhaps bring some comfort." He stared at her, his expression unreadable. He was a man grasping at straws, desperate enough to consider anything, even the seemingly ridiculous. "What do you have in mind?" Mrs. Park spoke of ancient remedies, of herbal infusions, of acupuncture points that could stimulate the body's natural healing abilities. She spoke of a holistic approach, of nourishing the body and the spirit. Min-ho listened, skepticism warring with a desperate yearning for hope. He had tried everything else. What did he have to lose? That night, he lay awake, the image of Mrs. Park's earnest face burned into his mind. He thought of Ji-hoon, his laughter growing fainter with each passing day. He thought of the millions he had spent on fruitless treatments. And a crazy idea began to form in his mind. The next morning, he summoned Mrs. Park to his study. The room was a shrine to his success, filled with awards, scripts, and photographs. But it felt cold, empty. "Mrs. Park," he said, his voice hoarse. "I'm going to make you an offer." He paused, taking a deep breath. "If you can cure my son, if you can truly cure him, I will give you $5 million. Mrs. Park's eyes widened, but she didn't speak. She simply waited, her gaze steady. But, Minho continued, his voice hardening. If you fail, if this is just some quackery that puts my son in danger, you will leave this house immediately and never come back. Do you understand? Mrs. Park nodded slowly. I understand, sir. Do you accept? She looked directly at him, her eyes filled with a quiet determination. I accept, sir. But I do not promise a cure. I promise to do everything in my power to help Ji-hoon. The rest is up to heaven. And so, Mrs. Park began her work. She transformed Ji-hoon's sterile room into a haven of natural light and soothing scents. She prepared herbal teas, carefully measured and brewed. She massaged his tiny body with fragrant oils, stimulating his pressure points. She told him stories of ancient heroes, of mythical creatures, of the healing power of nature. At first, Minho watched with a mixture of hope and apprehension. He consulted with Ji-hoon's doctors, who were skeptical but cautiously optimistic, as long as Mrs. Park's methods didn't interfere with the prescribed medication. He saw no immediate improvement, but he did notice a subtle change in Ji-hoon. The boy seemed more alert, more engaged. He smiled more often. Then came the crisis. One night, Ji-hoon's fever spiked. His breathing became labored. The monitors in his room blared alarms. Minho panicked, ready to call the ambulance, to rush him back to the sterile confines of the hospital. But Mrs. Park stopped him. Wait, sir, she said calmly. Let me try something. She prepared a special herbal concoction, a blend of rare ingredients she had brought from her village. She carefully administered it to Ji-hoon, whispering ancient chants as she did. Minho watched, his heart pounding in his chest. He was torn between trusting Mrs. Park and his instinct to protect his son. He felt utterly helpless. Slowly, miraculously, Ji-hoon's fever began to subside. His breathing became easier. He drifted into a peaceful sleep. The next morning, Ji-hoon woke up with a newfound energy. He sat up in bed, his eyes bright. Appa, he said, his voice clear and strong. I'm hungry. It was the first time in months that Ji-hoon had expressed any appetite. Minho rushed to his side, tears streaming down his face. He hugged his son tightly, burying his face in his hair. It wasn't a complete cure, not yet. But it was a turning point. Over the next few months, Ji-hoon continued to improve. Mrs. Park's treatments, combined with the conventional medical care, seemed to be working synergistically. His immune system grew stronger. His energy levels increased. He started to play again, to laugh, to be a normal little boy. The doctors were astounded. They couldn't explain it. They called it a miracle. Minho knew it was more than that. It was the power of hope, the wisdom of tradition, and the unwavering dedication of one remarkable woman. He kept his promise. He transferred $5 million to Mrs. Park's account. But that wasn't the end of the story. Mrs. Park refused to accept the money. I did not do this for the money, sir, she said. I did it for Ji-hoon. And for you. Minho was stunned. He had never encountered such selflessness. But you deserve it, he insisted. You saved my son's life. I only helped him, sir. He saved himself. And you saved him too, with your love and your dedication. Instead of taking the money, Mrs. Park proposed a different solution. She suggested using the money to establish a foundation to support research into traditional healing methods and to provide care for children with similar illnesses. Minho was deeply moved. He agreed without hesitation. The Lee Minho and Park Foundation became a beacon of hope for families struggling with rare and incurable diseases. The experience transformed Minho. He became more humble, more compassionate, more aware of the things that truly mattered in life. He reconnected with his son on a deeper level. He learned to appreciate the simple joys of life, the beauty of nature, the power of human connection. He also learned to trust his instincts, to listen to his heart, and to never underestimate the wisdom of those who seemed ordinary. Mrs. Park, the unassuming housekeeper, had taught him the most valuable lesson of all, that true healing comes not just from medicine, but from love, hope, and the unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit. Years later, Ji-hoon, now a healthy and vibrant young man, stood beside his father at the annual gala for the Lee Min-ho and Park Foundation. He looked out at the crowd, a sea of faces filled with hope and gratitude. He knew that his life had been a miracle, a testament to the power of love and the healing touch of a remarkable woman. And he knew that his father, Lee Min-ho, the famous actor, had learned that true wealth lies not in fame or fortune, but in the bonds of family and the unwavering belief in the possibility of hope, even in the darkest of times. He sought out Mrs. Park, now a cherished member of their family, and took her hand, squeezing it gently. He knew that without her, he wouldn't be here. She smiled back, her eyes filled with a quiet joy. She had surprised everyone, not just with her knowledge of ancient remedies, but with her unwavering faith in the power of healing and the enduring strength of the human heart. Her presence was a constant reminder that sometimes, the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places, and that true healing is always possible, as long as there is love, hope, and a willingness to believe. The surprise wasn't just the cure, but the profound shift in perspective it brought to everyone involved, a testament to the unexpected wisdom found in the most humble of hearts. The gala continued, a symphony of clinking glasses, soft laughter, and heartfelt conversations. But for Lee Min-ho, the true symphony was the quiet understanding that passed between him, Ji-hoon, and Mrs. Park. It was a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had undertaken together, a journey that had led them through the darkest valleys of despair and into the radiant sunlight of hope. The foundation flourished, funding research into integrative medicine, supporting families facing similar challenges, and promoting the importance of holistic well-being. Min-ho dedicated a significant portion of his time to the foundation, using his platform to raise awareness and inspire others. He became an advocate for patients' rights, for access to alternative therapies, and for the integration of traditional wisdom with modern medical practices. He also became a different kind of actor. The roles he chose reflected his newfound perspective on life, focusing on stories of resilience, compassion, and the power of human connection. He no longer chased fame or accolades, he sought to use his talent to inspire hope and to make a positive impact on the world. His personal life also underwent a transformation. He learned to slow down, to appreciate the simple moments, to cherish the relationships that truly mattered. He realized that success was not measured in box office numbers or awards, but in the quality of his relationships and the depth of his connection with others. One day, years after the initial crisis, Ji-hoon came to his father with a proposition. He had been studying traditional Korean medicine and had decided to pursue a career in the field. He wanted to work alongside Mrs. Park, to learn from her wisdom and to carry on her legacy. Min-ho was overjoyed. He had always encouraged Ji-hoon to follow his own path, but he was deeply gratified that his son had chosen to dedicate his life to healing and helping others. Together, Ji-hoon and Mrs. Park became a formidable team, combining their knowledge of traditional medicine with modern scientific research. They developed innovative treatments for a variety of illnesses, focusing on a holistic approach that addressed the root causes of disease and promoted overall well-being. They also traveled the world, sharing their knowledge and inspiring others to embrace the power of natural healing. They established clinics in underserved communities, providing access to affordable and effective healthcare. They became symbols of hope for those who had been told there was no cure, no hope for recovery. Mrs. Park, despite her age, remained a vital force in the foundation and in Ji-hoon's life. She was a mentor, a confidant, and a source of unwavering support. She taught him the importance of patience, compassion, and humility. She reminded him that true healing comes from the heart, from a genuine desire to help others. One evening, as the sun began to set over Seoul, Min-ho sat with Ji-hoon and Mrs. Park on the balcony of his penthouse. The city lights twinkled below, a reminder of the vibrant life that surrounded them. "I never thought I would be here," Min-ho said, his voice filled with emotion. "I never thought Ji-hoon would be here. You gave us a second chance, Mrs. Park. You gave us hope when we had none." Mrs. Park smiled gently. "We all helped each other, sir. Ji-hoon's strength, your love, and a little bit of nature's wisdom. It was a team effort." Ji-hoon put his arm around Mrs. Park's shoulders. "You're more than just a housekeeper to us, Halmione, grandmother. You're family." Min-ho nodded in agreement. "You are the heart of this family, Mrs. Park. You taught us the true meaning of healing, of love, and of hope." As they sat in silence, watching the city lights shimmer, Min-ho realized that he had received far more than he had ever offered. He had offered $5 million for a cure, but he had received a priceless gift, a son's life, a renewed sense of purpose, and the unwavering love of a remarkable woman who had surprised everyone by showing them the true meaning of healing. He had offered money, but he had received immeasurable wealth in the form of family, purpose, and enduring hope. And that, he knew, was a legacy that would last a lifetime. The penthouse, once a symbol of his solitary success, was now a testament to the power of connection and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The surprise wasn't just the cure, it was the revelation that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in the bonds of love and the unwavering belief in the possibility of hope. The years continued to unfold, each one adding another layer to the tapestry of their lives. Ji-hoon, now a respected doctor of traditional medicine, worked tirelessly at the foundation, his passion fueled by his own miraculous recovery and a deep-seated desire to alleviate the suffering of others. He was a living testament to the power of integrative medicine, a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science. Min-ho, still a beloved actor, used his influence to advocate for holistic healthcare and to support the foundation's mission. He understood that fame was fleeting, but the impact he could have on the lives of others was eternal. He often spoke at conferences and events, sharing his family's story and inspiring others to never give up hope, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. Mrs. Park, though her physical strength waned with age, remained the spiritual center of their family. Her wisdom and her unwavering faith guided them through every challenge. She spent her days tending to her garden, preparing traditional remedies, and sharing her stories with anyone who would listen. Her presence was a constant reminder of the power of simplicity, of the importance of connection to nature, and of the enduring strength of the human spirit. One spring morning, as the cherry blossoms bloomed in vibrant profusion, Mrs. Park gathered Min-ho and Ji-hoon in her garden. The air was filled with the sweet fragrance of flowers, and the sun shone with a gentle warmth. "My time is near," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I have lived a long and full life, and I am ready to return to the earth." Min-ho and Ji-hoon exchanged a look of sadness, but they knew that Mrs. Park spoke the truth. Her body was weary, but her spirit remained strong. "We will miss you terribly, Halmione," Ji-hoon said, his voice choked with emotion. "I will always be with you," Mrs. Park replied, her eyes twinkling. "In your hearts, in your memories, in the work that you do." She reached out and took their hands, her touch gentle and reassuring. "Promise me that you will continue to spread hope, to heal the sick, and to never forget the lessons that life has taught you." "We promise," Min-ho and Ji-hoon said in unison. Mrs. Park smiled, a serene and peaceful expression on her face. "Then I can depart with a happy heart." A few days later, Mrs. Park passed away peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by her loved ones. Her funeral was a celebration of her life, a testament to the countless lives she had touched. People from all walks of life came to pay their respects, from renowned doctors to humble villagers, all united in their gratitude for her kindness and her unwavering faith. Min-ho and Ji-hoon were heartbroken, but they found solace in the knowledge that Mrs. Park's legacy would live on. They rededicated themselves to the Foundation's mission, determined to honor her memory by continuing her work. Ji-hoon took on a greater leadership role, expanding the Foundation's reach and developing new and innovative treatments. He established partnerships with universities and research institutions, promoting the integration of traditional medicine with modern science. He also created a mentorship program, training young doctors and healers in the principles of holistic healthcare. Min-ho continued to use his platform to raise awareness and to advocate for patients' rights. He became a vocal proponent of preventative medicine, emphasizing the importance of healthy lifestyle choices and the power of mind-body connection. He also supported initiatives to promote access to affordable healthcare in underserved communities. Years passed, and the Lee Min-ho and Park Foundation continued to thrive, transforming the lives of countless individuals and families. Ji-hoon married and had children of his own, passing on Mrs. Park's wisdom and values to the next generation. Min-ho continued to act, but his focus shifted to projects that reflected his commitment to social justice and human rights. One day, as Min-ho stood before a crowd of supporters at the Foundation's annual gala, he looked out at the sea of faces and felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had come a long way from the lonely and desperate man who had offered $5 million for a cure. He had found purpose, meaning, and a deep and abiding love that had transformed his life. "I learned a valuable lesson from Mrs. Park," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I learned that true healing comes not just from medicine, but from love, hope, and the unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit." He paused, his eyes scanning the crowd. "And I learned that sometimes, the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places." He smiled, a warm and genuine smile that radiated from within. Mrs. Park, the unassuming housekeeper, surprised everyone by showing us the true meaning of healing. And her legacy will live on, inspiring us to continue to spread hope, to heal the sick, and to never forget the lessons that life has taught us. The crowd erupted in applause, a testament to the enduring power of Mrs. Park's spirit and the transformative impact of the Lee Min-ho and Park Foundation. As the applause subsided, Min-ho raised his glass in a toast. "To Mrs. Park," he said, his voice ringing with sincerity. "May her memory be a blessing to us all." The crowd echoed his toast, their voices filled with gratitude and respect. And as the gala continued, the spirit of Mrs. Park filled the room, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope can always be found, and that true healing is always possible, as long as there is love, compassion, and an unwavering belief in the power of the human spirit. The surprise wasn't just the cure, it was the enduring legacy of hope and healing that Mrs. Park had created, a legacy that would continue to inspire generations to come. The penthouse, once a symbol of Lee Min-ho's individual success, now stood as a beacon of collective hope, a testament to the transformative power of human connection and the enduring strength of the human heart. The legacy of Mrs. Park extended far beyond the walls of the Lee Min-ho and Park Foundation. Her story, initially whispered among the wealthy elite of Seoul, eventually resonated across the globe. It became a cautionary tale, a testament to the limitations of material wealth when confronted with the fragility of human life, and a beacon of hope, illuminating the path towards holistic well-being. News outlets, initially skeptical of the housekeeper's miracle, began to delve deeper, uncovering the science behind Mrs. Park's traditional remedies, the unwavering dedication of Ji-hoon, and the genuine transformation of Lee Min-ho. Documentaries were filmed, books were written, and the story of their unlikely partnership became a global phenomenon. The initial offer of $5 million, once a symbol of desperation, was recontextualized. It was no longer about buying a cure, it was about recognizing the inherent value of knowledge, compassion, and the power of traditional wisdom. It became a symbol of Lee Min-ho's willingness to acknowledge his own limitations and to embrace a different perspective. The world began to question the conventional approach to medicine, embracing the concept of integrative healthcare. Hospitals and clinics started incorporating traditional therapies alongside modern treatments, recognizing the importance of addressing the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. Medical schools introduced courses on holistic healing, and research grants were awarded to study the efficacy of traditional remedies. Ji-hoon, now a globally recognized leader in integrative medicine, traveled the world, sharing his knowledge and expertise. He established clinics in remote villages, training local healers and empowering communities to take control of their own health. He became a mentor to countless young doctors, inspiring them to embrace a more compassionate and holistic approach to patient care. Lee Min-ho, still a prominent figure in the entertainment industry, used his influence to advocate for social justice and environmental sustainability. He understood that true well-being extended beyond physical health, encompassing the health of the planet and the well-being of all its inhabitants. He became a passionate advocate for environmental conservation, using his platform to raise awareness about climate change and to promote sustainable living practices. He also became a champion for children's rights, working with organizations to provide education and healthcare to underprivileged children around the world. He understood that every child deserved the opportunity to reach their full potential, regardless of their background or circumstances. Years after Mrs. Park's passing, Lee Min-ho found himself standing in her garden, now a thriving ecosystem of medicinal herbs and flowering plants. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the landscape. He closed his eyes, inhaling the sweet fragrance of the flowers, and felt a profound sense of peace. He thought about Mrs. Park, her gentle smile, her unwavering faith, and her profound wisdom. He realized that she had given him more than just a cure for his son. She had given him a new perspective on life, a new sense of purpose, and a new appreciation for the power of human connection. He opened his eyes and looked out at the garden, a living testament to her legacy. He knew that her spirit would continue to live on, inspiring generations to come to embrace a more holistic and compassionate approach to healing and to create a more just and sustainable world. He smiled, a smile that reflected the depth of his gratitude and the enduring power of hope. The surprise wasn't just the cure, it was the realization that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the bonds of love, the pursuit of purpose, and the unwavering belief in the potential for human goodness. The penthouse, once a symbol of his solitary success, now stood as a beacon of collective hope, a testament to the transformative power of human connection and the enduring strength of the human heart. It was a reminder that even in the face of adversity, miracles can happen, and that the greatest gifts often come from the most unexpected places. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garden, Lee Min-ho made a silent vow to continue to honor Mrs. Park's legacy, to continue to spread hope, to continue to heal the sick, and to continue to strive for a world where everyone has the opportunity to live a healthy, fulfilling, and meaningful life. His journey, sparked by desperation and fueled by hope, had led him to a place of profound peace and unwavering purpose. He had offered money, but he had received immeasurable wealth in the form of family, purpose, and enduring hope. And that, he knew, was a legacy that would last for eternity. The surprise wasn't just the cure, it was the enduring ripple effect of one woman's compassion, a ripple that continued to spread across the world, transforming lives and inspiring hope in the darkest of times. The garden, bathed in the twilight hues, seemed to hum with a quiet energy, a testament to Mrs. Park's enduring presence. Lee Min-ho felt a tap on his shoulder and turned to see Ji-hoon, his face etched with a familiar mix of weariness and determination. "Another long day?" Min-ho asked, his voice laced with concern. Ji-hoon nodded, running a hand through his slightly disheveled hair. "We're seeing a surge in cases of childhood asthma, particularly in low-income communities. The environmental factors are devastating." Min-ho's face clouded with concern. He knew the statistics, the heartbreaking reality of children struggling to breathe in polluted environments. "What can we do?" "We're expanding our mobile clinic program," Ji-hoon replied, "bringing preventative care and education directly to these communities. We're also working with local activists to advocate for stricter environmental regulations." "Good," Min-ho said, his voice firm. "We need to be proactive, not just reactive." These children deserve a healthy start in life. He paused, a thoughtful expression on his face. I've been thinking about Mrs. Park's methods, her understanding of the interconnectedness of the body and the environment. Perhaps we can incorporate some of her traditional remedies into our asthma treatment program. Ji-hoon's eyes lit up. That's brilliant, Hyung. We could use herbal remedies to reduce inflammation and strengthen the respiratory system. And we could teach families simple breathing exercises and relaxation techniques. They spent the next hour discussing the details of their plan, their voices filled with passion and determination. They knew that they couldn't solve the problem overnight, but they were committed to making a difference, one child, one community at a time. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Ji-hoon and his team worked tirelessly to develop a comprehensive asthma treatment program that integrated traditional and modern medicine. Min-ho used his influence to raise awareness and to secure funding for the program. They organized community workshops, educating families about asthma triggers and preventative measures. The results were remarkable. Children who had previously struggled to breathe were now running and playing with newfound energy. Families who had felt helpless and hopeless were now empowered to take control of their children's health. One evening, Min-ho and Ji-hoon visited one of the communities that had been hardest hit by asthma. They were greeted by a group of grateful parents and smiling children. A young girl, no older than 6, approached Min-ho and handed him a small bouquet of wildflowers. "Thank you, Mr. Lee," she said, her voice filled with sincerity. "You helped me breathe again." Min-ho's heart swelled with emotion. He knelt down and took the girl's hand, his eyes filled with tears. "You're welcome, sweetheart," he said softly. "You are strong and brave, and you deserve to breathe freely." As he looked around at the faces of the children and their families, he realized that he had finally found his true calling. He was no longer just an actor, he was a healer, a protector, a champion for the voiceless. He knew that Mrs. Park would be proud. Years passed, and the Lee Min-ho and Park Foundation continued to expand its reach, addressing a wide range of health and social issues. Ji-hoon became a global leader in integrative medicine, advocating for a more holistic and compassionate approach to healthcare. Min-ho continued to use his platform to raise awareness and to inspire others to make a difference. One day, Min-ho received an invitation to speak at a prestigious medical conference in Geneva. He was hesitant at first, feeling that he was not qualified to address such a distinguished audience. But Ji-hoon convinced him to go, arguing that his personal story and his unique perspective could be invaluable. Standing before a sea of renowned doctors and researchers, Min-ho shared his family's story, the story of his son's illness, Mrs. Park's miraculous cure, and the transformative power of hope. Years later, Ji-hoon, now a healthy and vibrant young man, stood beside his father at the annual gala of the Lee Min-ho and Park Foundation. His speech, graceful, articulate, deeply emotional, moved the entire room to tears. As the applause faded, Ji-hoon turned to the crowd and said, "I stand here not just because of science or money, but because someone saw me as more than a diagnosis. Someone believed in me before anyone else did. Thank you, Mrs. Park." The spotlight shifted. Mrs. Park, dressed in a simple hanbok, tried to shrink into the crowd, but the audience rose to their feet. A standing ovation roared across the ballroom. Lee Min-ho joined the applause, tears welling in his eyes. He turned toward her and bowed deeply, not as a celebrity, not as a benefactor, but as a man forever changed. After the event, in a quiet moment in the garden, Min-ho approached Mrs. Park. "You saved his life," he said. Mrs. Park smiled softly. "No, sir. I only opened a door. He chose to walk through it. And you gave him the courage." Min-ho shook his head. "I once thought money could buy hope. But you taught me it's something we grow. With love. With faith. With quiet strength." She looked at him, this once tired, broken man now standing tall with humility, and simply said, "Then the lesson was worth it." And with that, they walked back into the gala, not as housekeeper and employer, but as family, forever bound by a miracle they made possible together.